ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise to Allah. We seek His aid and His assistance and ask for His forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our souls and evil of our actions. Whomever Allah guides, no one will be able to mislead him. Whomever He leads astray, nobody can guide him. I testify that there is no worthy of worship except Allah, alone without partner, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his slave and messenger. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. You go, my girl.
Jazakallah khairan, Shakira, for that beautiful recitation. I love hearing you recite. I think that's one of the perks of being in the group with you lovely coaches, is I get to hear the different harmonious blend that you bring to that recitation, and then I get something different when I listen to Dr. Amina, and when Farah does it I get something different, and you know, Fahmida and Amina and Jamila, and it's, yeah, I'm very, very blessed, alhamdulillah. I feel very spoiled. But today I'd like to welcome you all, assalamu alaikum, all of you lovely ladies, for joining us on this Sister Seeking Salam session, where I shall be telling you about my story. And my name is Farah Halaby. I'm a, oh goodness, what am I? Mum of four, married, I live in Brentwood in Essex, home of Towie. I am a coach, and I never thought I would be. So I'm going to tell you a very unscripted story of my life, and I'm not actually sure what's going to come out of my mouth. So I'm just going to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and start from there. So I turned 44 years old yesterday, and my journey began in a part of England in the county of Essex. My mum and dad came over to England from Mauritius, and they worked in the, thank you very much, Nazma, they worked in the care industry, looking after people with learning disabilities and mental health issues. And so they both came over here as care assistants and set up a life and a home in Essex, and were the first of their respective families to come to this country. And they did the, I guess, usual, I say, that was usual for them, sending money back home to look after their family and siblings, and subsequently over the years brought various different members of the family over to England so that they could set up a life and establish themselves in this country and kind of, you know, look after and grow their families. So I'm the eldest of 4 children. I have a young brother who's 2 years younger than me, and I have 2 younger sisters who are 10 and 12 years younger. And I grew up in Brentwood. I went to a Church of England school, and I think I heard Dr. Amina say this about her upbringing, that she was the only brown girl in the ring, and that's pretty much my story. I went to a Church of England school. I was one of only out of probably a school of 300 pupils. For my infant and junior school, I was one of only 5 of them, one of only 5 non-white faces. And growing up in this uber conservative, uber white, slightly anti-other environment, I guess I didn't always feel as if I was out of place, but I tried my very best to fit in, and whatever that fitting in meant, I tried to do it. From things that were as trivial as, well, I say trivial, but as silly, if you like, as dousing myself with Johnson's baby powder so that I could be white, so that I could be just like the other kids. I couldn't, unfortunately, make my hair, my long black curly frizzy hair, as blonde or as light as other people's hair, but I tried my best at one point to douse myself in as much talcum powder as I could so that I could just look like everybody else. And, you know, that didn't work. So then I thought, okay, well, my name, I was born, although I introduced myself to you as Farah Halaby, my birth name is Faranaz Bibi Budu. And Faranaz Bibi Budu sounded too weird, too ethnic, too different. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to choose a name that just sounds a bit more English, a bit more white, a bit more acceptable. And between my brother and I, we came up with the names. I think when we were younger, I chose the name Jenny and he chose the name Fred, I think. And I guess the reason maybe that we did that was, or the message that we got was, when my parents came to this country, my mum's name is Aniza, my dad's name is Gulam, but to their friends or to their work colleagues, they were known as John and Annie. Again, to English, quintessentially English sounding names. And I guess I got it from there. But growing up, went to Church of England school, and when I went to school, the slot, I guess, that I fitted into was I created this persona of, when Jenny was so obviously not my name, I created the persona of Faz. So Faz didn't sound too other. Faz was kind of, a bit more Essex. And so, yeah, growing up, went to a junior school, went to primary school, went to secondary school, again in this town where I was the only one of a handful of only brown people, and where my faith really was something that I did, in inverted commas, at home. And being the eldest child of two people who had come to this country with the goal of bettering themselves, with the goal of sending money back home to Mauritius, and with the goal of trying to establish themselves, it felt as if there was a whole kind of weight of responsibility of being the first one. I was kind of pegged as their ticket to, I don't know, success maybe, but I grew up in a home, so I never felt as if I wasn't loved. If anything, I was put up on a pedestal. I was put up on this pedestal that I was going to achieve amazing things, that I was going to do wonderful things. I was the one that was always quite nurturing to my younger cousins and to my younger sisters, and I had that motherly instinct. I was pushed and I was supported at school. My mum was very much, if you can walk and if you can breathe, you're going to school. I don't care if you feel ill. So she was the one that was very much the force and the drive and the motivator for me to seek an education. And because she couldn't, her education was essentially none. She couldn't read or write very well, but she made sure that she was hell-bent on making sure that her children could. So alhamdulillah, I was always propelled, I was always pushed, being the eldest girl, being the eldest child, and I never felt that I was disadvantaged in that way. I mean, for 10 years it was my brother and I, and then my two younger sisters were born, and like I say, I never felt disadvantaged being a girl, but sometimes it felt as if this pressure to be good, this pressure to be, the one, almost like not. I felt as if any of you have watched the film The Golden Child, that's what it felt as if I was expected to do, and I was given all the support in the world, but I just felt as if it was too much, almost. So whenever I did anything, it felt as if it was so much pressure. So whenever looking back on it now, at school, I did okay in my GCSEs, but I could have done better. I did okay in my A-levels, but again, could have done better. And then I thought, well, I'm going to go to university, and mashallah, I was accepted into a good university. But it was kind of by default, I kind of got in the back, but via the back door really. I went to university through the system of clearing because I'd originally applied to do Arabic and Japanese. Languages were my forte. I loved learning. I loved learning new things. So I thought I'm gonna do a degree in Arabic and Japanese. And it just took one conversation with a friend of mine the day before my application was due in, and said, what are you going to do with Arabic and Japanese? Where's that going to get you in life? So I thought, oh, okay. So I changed my application and I applied to do business and accounting, and I'm absolutely pants at economics. I'm not great at maths, but I don't know why I chose to do that, and I didn't get the grades to do it. So I went through the system of clearing, and I then did a French degree, and I went on to read French and Business Studies at Queen Mary Westfield University, University of London. And I thought, wow, okay, subhanallah, I've made it. I've survived the funny years at school, the kind of weirdness that a brown fuzzy head moustache, moustached little brown girl did. And I thought, do you know what? I've survived that. So when I go to university, I'm going to reinvent myself. I'm not going to be Faz because she sounds too, I don't know, too Essex. I'm going to become Farah because Farah sounds much more, I don't know, sophisticated or much more together. So I went to university and introduced myself to everyone as Farah, and thus she was born. And again, there was that element of first person in my family to go to university, and then the pressure mounted up, and I thought, oh my goodness, where's it, am I going to be able to do this? My dad's proudest moment was when when I got my A-level, well, when I got accepted into university, and he cried, and it was in his tears I could see all of his life's expectations cut, literally dropping down his face. And it made me happy. Well, I felt happy that he felt so proud of me, but I felt like an absolute fraud because I thought, I'm just going to end up disappointing you, Dad. I'm not going to go on to do amazing things. And I guess in that respect, it became a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because in my first year of university, I fell really, really ill, and my appendix burst, and I was in a coma for 9 days. And my parents were told that there was a 5% chance of me surviving, that they had done what they could, but now it was in the hands of God. And so my mum, being the person that she is, the most stubborn person I know, she fought with them because they wanted to turn the life support machine off. And she fought with them, and she said, no, my daughter's going to pull through. And alhamdulillah, I did. And I came out of my coma, and a month later, after being told that I might have long-term health effects, I came out with none bar the fact that I had to have some of my bits removed. And then I was told at the age of 19 that it would be near enough impossible for me to have children naturally. So being told at 19 that, you might not be able to have kids, and from someone who had always, been surrounded by younger children, and it was kind of a given that I was going to, that I wanted to be a mum, even though at the age of 19 I didn't really, have any aspirations right then, but I knew that I wanted to be. When I envisaged my life, I knew that children were a big part of it, and so I pushed that to the back of my mind because I thought, I can't deal with this right now. I took the rest of that year of university off to try and because I'd missed so much of it. And so I thought, right, I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts here. So what am I going to do? How am I going to pull this back? Because having survived the coma then put me even higher up on a pedestal, because then my mum and dad were like, and the community at large were like, right, she's survived this coma. She's definitely going to go on to do amazing things. She kind of survived that for nothing. And so the pressure then was piled on even more. And it was debilitating at one point. It was, oh my goodness, I've survived this coma, and now everyone's looking at me to do something amazing, and I'm not. I'm absolutely not. Even my old madrasa teacher, he asked me to give a talk to everyone. I remember at the end of I think it was at an Eid gathering, and he said, you give a talk and you tell everyone that they should pray now, that, that you've come out of this, that you've survived, and it was only by the will of Allah. So if anything, you're the perfect example that prayer is, by the power of prayer, that's, by the power of dua, you're here. So, tell everyone that they should be praying. And I thought, how can I stand on a pedestal? How can I stand in front of people and tell them that they should be praying when I've been given effectively this second chance of life and I'm not grabbing it? because I felt like an absolute fraudster. I thought, oh, there's got to be a mistake made here. I shouldn't be here. And now the pressure of doing something amazing is too much. So if anything, I kind of backtracked and I thought, I can't do it. So after a year of kind of trying to find my way, if you like, I felt very out of sorts. And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get married, because married people have it all together. You know, married people are settled. You know, when you get married, you have honorability, you have security, you have, you know, mashallah, you're set, you're made for life. So I pretty much married the first person that asked me. And needless to say, that didn't work out very well because I started off the marriage as feeling less than, as feeling defective, as feeling, oh my goodness, I'm just so lucky that anyone would want to marry me, because, you know, I can't have any kids, or you know, I'm not particularly very clever. I'm not good enough. I am less than. So, you know, for this person to actually want to marry me, I'm really grateful, and I owe you one. So I started off my married life in a deficit, if you like, almost as if I had to repay the debt of this silly person deciding that, yeah, I'll marry you. And after 7 years, so just to backtrack a little bit. So I got married. I took a year off university, got married, and then I thought, oh goodness, I need at least another year to settle into married life. So I took another year off. So I took 2 years off between my first year and my second year. And my husband at the time was studying, so we were 2 students living in pretty much a student house. And it transpires that I was kind of the reason that he decided that he wanted to marry. I think he liked me. I think he thought I was all right, but you know, I was a passport to stay in this country. So as soon as we got married, he stopped studying. He stopped doing what he was doing, and I was working 2 jobs whilst at university full time. And I managed to graduate. I did graduate, alhamdulillah, but I didn't get anywhere as near as what I thought I should have, well, maybe as I was capable of, because again, I was then a married person in a defective person, a married person doing a degree that, you know, not particularly very clever, but I managed to swing a degree, subhanallah. And then I came out of university thinking, okay, well, I'm not too sure what I'm going to be doing now. I've got a second-class degree. I'm working 2 jobs, and I'm married to someone who is not working and who is not particularly very nice. And it was after 7 years of being in that relationship and not realizing until I left that I was actually in a narcissistic, abusive marriage, because I thought, you know, you had to be beaten up every single day to be a victim of domestic violence. I thought you had to have scars every single day of your life. I didn't think that the odd black eye or the odd cigarette being put out in your face warranted or could be classed as domestic violence. I just thought that it was natural for him not to want me to see my family, because he just wanted me to be around him all the time. And I thought that it was absolutely normal that he would lose his temper in front of my family, and then I would have to apologise to him for my family reacting in a way to him that wasn't pleasing to him. And I just thought, you know, that was normal. And again, it took me 7 years before I left him. And but in those last months, I suppose in the last year of our marriage, even though I had been brought up as a Muslim and I identified as Muslim, I don't think I chose Islam for myself, really, until that last year of my marriage. I was 27 years old, 26, 27, and I thought, do you know what, I went to madrasa, I've read the Quran, I know how to pray, I believe in God, so what am I doing wrong here? So I just turned to Allah, and I said, I didn't turn to Allah to leave him, I just turned to Allah to say, I asked him, can you just make me happy with my situation, please? Can you just let me stop fighting this or stop feeling so sad? Can you please, please, please just make me happy with what I've got? And it wasn't even to leave, because that never entered my mind, because I was the one that had pushed to marry him. My mum and dad never wanted me to marry him. They were like, no, finish university, you know, get yourself a job, get you settled. I was like, no, I'm going to marry him, Dad, because, you know, then I'll feel settled. And because I was the one that had pushed for the marriage, when it was all going to pot, I felt too ashamed to go to anyone else to say, I'm not happy. But the thing is, they could all see. For 7 years, they could all see that I wasn't very happy. But because they didn't want to interfere, they never said a word. And when I'd made my du'as to Allah, and I'd prayed and I'd said, please just make me happy with this situation. Just please make me content with what I've got. He showed me another door. He showed me another way that I never thought I would take. He showed me a path to get out. And all that time, I'd just been praying for, I guess, the strength to stay, the strength to just to live every day, the strength to actually just carry on. And when I told my dad that I was leaving, he actually breathed a sigh of relief, and he said, I've been waiting for you to tell me. I've been waiting for you to say that you're unhappy and that you want to come home. And so I did. So alhamdulillah, sorry. So alhamdulillah, I did. I went home, and oh goodness, I've got so much more to say, but I'm very aware of the time. I went home, to cut a very, very long story short. I went back home, and subhanAllah, my mum and dad were absolutely amazing. I went back home, and I stayed there for a little while, and then I got a job at Gatwick Airport, and I worked for British Airways for a while, and I was cabin crew for a little while. And it was at Gatwick Airport that I met my husband, who I'm married to now, and we met on the Tuesday. He asked me to marry him on the Friday, and then we got married a year to the day that we met, after a lot of drama, which I'm not going to bore you with. But the aim of the the aim of all of this really is, when I married Tariq, and when I met him, I told him from the off that it would be near enough impossible for me to have children. And his response to that was, I'm marrying you for you. I'm not marrying you for, you know, the possibility of what we could have. And you are enough for me, which was very sweet and very lovely. And alhamdulillah, it was like a Hollywood moment. I did go weak at the knees. I did get a little bit dizzy. And mashallah, it was, it was that kind of all singing and all dancing kind of love story that that I maybe always dreamed about. But anyway, fast forward a couple of years, and the people around me are getting married, the people around me are having children, and I'm flying all over the world and having a grand old time. And my husband was cabin crew as well, and we've been very lucky to have gone to a load of different places, but there was something that was just, still not sitting quite right. And so again, I thought, okay, what's going on here? Not what am I doing wrong, but what can I do? And again, in that moment, it was turning to Allah. It was turning to Allah. And the crux came, I guess, was when my very, very good friend at the time, who was actually my ex-sister-in-law, but she fell pregnant. And she didn't want to tell me that she'd fallen pregnant, because she knew of my situation, and she was worried, I guess, for my reaction. And that kind of hit me, and I thought, when she told me that she was pregnant, I seriously was overjoyed for her. And subhanallah, it was one of the best days, because I know, just when she told me that she was, I thought, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And I remember thinking, and going back to Allah, and going back home and getting on the prayer mat and saying how grateful I am that she's pregnant, and that she's going to have this wonderful family, and that I made dua for her, that she would be happy, that her child would be healthy, and everything would be okay. And about a week later, again, it was my birthday, a week later, and I just had this funny feeling. And I said to my husband, oh, I feel a bit bizarre. And he said, oh, and jokingly, he goes, you're not pregnant, are you? And laughed it off, ha ha ha. And I went, do you know what? Get a pregnancy test. Let's just see. You know, I know the odds are that I'm not, but, you know, it'll be a laugh. So anyway, off he chuckled and off he went. And he came back and we did the test, and we had a few people that were supposed to be coming over to my house because it's my little sister's birthday on that day as well. She was born 10 years after me. So it's both our birthdays, and we had my mum and dad and a couple of people coming over. And so whilst they were all downstairs and Tarek and I were upstairs, I took the test and just left it on the side, and I thought, oh well, let me just check. And lo and behold, it was positive. So my jaw dropped, and subhanallah, it was all of my efforts to actually, you know, stop Tarek from going out and buying 10 more tests just to make sure, just in case it was a false positive. But we had, alhamdulillah, I'd fallen pregnant without any help, without any medical intervention, and subhanallah, it was the most surreal day of my life. But if I can just quickly backtrack, that when I was married to my first husband, we had gone through fertility treatment, but the fertility treatment had been me basically going to the doctors on my own. He was very much, well, this is your issue, love, so you know, you crack on and you go and see the doctors and you sort it all out. So whenever I went to the doctors, or whenever I went to fertility doctors, I was always on my own, and I was always making excuses for the fact that he wasn't there. So to then go from that situation to a situation where we were very much a team, and we hadn't needed to even go down the route of fertility, because I thought there's no point, it's not going to work, so we didn't even bother. And then to find out that we were pregnant, well, I was pregnant, was wow, mashallah. And you'd think I would have been really happy, and actually I was, subhanallah. But then that oh my goodness, you're not good enough, descended down, and it crushed me. It really did. So throughout, you know, just before at the beginning stages of my pregnancy, I was expecting it to all go wrong, because I thought, okay, I don't deserve this. I'm not too sure if if this is right. Because now surely this baby, who is a miracle baby to all intents and purposes, because I've been told I couldn't have children, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to be a miracle mum. I'm going to have to be the best mum in the world, because I was told I couldn't have kids. So to fall pregnant with a baby, that means, and I just felt the weight of pressure again, this overwhelming feeling of not being good enough. Again, it was awful. So my first child, mashallah, you know, subhanallah, was the guinea pig. He was the one where I tried to do everything right, you know, reading all the books, making sure that he was in a routine, making sure that he was, you know, that I was parenting from the parenting manual. But there is no parenting manual, and you know, the expectations that I had of myself as a mum for him were ludicrous. They were not humanly possible, and yet again I felt as if I was failing all the time. So fast forward now to, you know, having this miracle baby, mashallah, and then losing my second child, miscarrying, and thinking, well, yeah, actually, that, you know, obviously you were going to lose it, because why would you bless twice? You know, it was a fluke that you got your first one. You know, that you know, you're lucky to have had the first one. Why would you be blessed with another one? And I put it down to myself. It was very much my fault. So for a year after I miscarried my second one, I was in a spiral of, again, not good enough, you know, feeling as if I should be better, feeling as if I was failing my son, feeling as if I was failing my husband. And that kind of cycle carried on for a long while, even after I had my second, third and fourth healthy babies. I've got 2 girls and 2 boys, mashallah. And again, it was almost like, what was it that I needed to do? Was it producing a football team before I felt as if I was a proper mum? And so when I was flying the whole time, I was still working as cabin crew up until I had my 4th child. But whilst I was pregnant with my youngest child, redundancy came up from my job, and I thought, do you know what? I've been lucky enough to do this job for a while now, but I need to get out of this and spend more time with my kids. So the aim was that I was going to take the leave my job and become retrained to become a primary school teacher. And I had it all mapped out. I was going to leave my job, retrain to become a primary school teacher, and then I would have all the time, well, not all the time, but I'd have the school holidays off with my children, and I'd have more of a work-life balance. And for any of you who are listening to this who are teachers, subhanAllah, you are amazing, but I know that it's not just about the school terms. It's not like you work part-time. You know, if anything, I know that there's a lot more involved. But in my mind, I had it all planned out. And it was only after I had left my job, and actually one of the things that was stopping me from leaving was the concern about the financial implications. And alhamdulillah, I again turned to Allah. I was like, you know what, Allah, I want to do this. Please help me. And redundancy came up. So that was something that I hadn't bargained on. And I asked for help, and the help came in the form of a financial incentive to actually leave. So mashallah, I was very, very, you know, Allah kept on showing me the door. Allah kept on showing me the way, and it was almost like I couldn't read the signs. I was grateful for them there, but it was almost like I felt as if I was, truth be told, it felt as if I was conning Allah. And you know, I know that's not even possible, but it felt as if I was trying to dupe Allah. I was trying to defraud Allah into you know, giving me all this stuff. That's how it felt. It felt as if I wasn't worthy of the blessings that he was giving me time and time again. So even when I took redundancy and I thought, yep, I'm going to become a teacher, one of the other amazing coach, well, my amazing coach, and one of the other amazing ladies on this session, Amina Hossein, who actually isn't just my coach, she is the one person apart from my immediate family, or my mum and dad, that I've known pretty much my whole life. I've known Amina since I was, I don't know, 6 months old, maybe, where there's 2 or 3 months between us, but I've known her since I was a baby. And we'd kind of kept in touch. We used to spend our summers together as teenagers, and you know, we've had our, you know, we used to get into trouble all the time because we'd phone each other over the holidays, and our phone bills would be astronomical, and then we'd have to have that walk of shame where our parents would sit us down and tell us off because we'd spent an, you know, inordinate amount of money on the phone bill talking to each other. So we kind of flitted in and out of each other's lives. We, you know, we went through our teenage years together, and then we lost touch, and then we came back, and I now work at the madrasa that her and her husband run. But at this moment, when I had chosen to leave my job, or was in the process of, you know, being made redundant and having left my job, that was when she was beginning her coaching journey. And she came over for a cup of tea, and we were just chatting, and she said, so you want to leave, you've left your job, and you want to become a teacher, and you want to spend more time at home with your family whilst they're still young. So are you going to press pause on them growing up while you do a full-time course, work a couple of years full-time before you can even hope of getting part-time, if you even get it, and then kind of, you know, unpause your kids and then look after them whilst they're still little? Or are you going to see the reality of that situation and think, well, maybe, you know, there's another way? And Amina just put, oh, the walk of shame. Yes, do you remember it? Oh my goodness, it was awful. The tellings off that we used to get, and the stories we used to concoct to try and, you know, cover our tracks was just, you know, that's maybe for another day. But it was then that she was starting her coaching journey, and I remember her coming over, and I remember saying to her that I had all of this stuff on my calendar. I had this, you know, that I felt better when my children were doing, you know, loads of stuff, because that made me feel like a better mum. Because if I could provide this amazing experience for all of my kids, then, you know, I was doing it all right. But what I was doing was that when I left my job, and when I was then a stay-at-home mum, that expectation again, that weight of responsibility was, now that you're a stay-at-home mum, you have to be the best stay-at-home mum in the world, because you have to parent these miracle children, because you're lucky to be alive, because you were given a second chance at life. So, you know, mediocre is not going to cut it, love. You're going to have to do something amazing with these kids. You're going to have to, you know, show up as this, you know, mum of the year, mum of the century. And when I was growing up, you know, there was the Miss World competitions and the Miss Universe competitions, which I know are not very PC, but I used to love them. But it was almost like I was entering my mothering or my mumming into mum of the world. And I would, you know, I had to be at the top of my game. So every single day I felt as if I had to be this monumentally amazing mum. And it was like I had written a job description for myself that was physically and humanly impossible to achieve. And every day I would feel the guilt and the shame and the rubbishness of not being able to achieve that. So every day I felt as if I was failing my kids because I was not, you know, able to provide a spiritual, physical, emotional experience for them. And I felt that their experience was very much within my control, and that I was the one, and me and only me could give that to them. And so I presented my very full calendar to her, you know, thinking, well, yeah, well, I'm this great mum because look at all the stuff that we do. You know, we've just been to this toddler group, and then the kids have got karate, and then the kids have got, you know, craft club, and then they've got football, and then I'm taking them to this, you know, this, that, and everywhere. And this was all born of a conversation where we'd spent ages trying to actually get in a slot to actually have the time to have a cup of tea with each other. And it was only because my schedule was so busy, it was bonkers. And I remember her coming over and she said, what does a full calendar mean for you then? And I said, well, it pretty much means that I'm a cracking mum, at least I'm trying. And she said, well, what would a less busy calendar mean then? And I said, well, it means that I'm not even bothering, that I'm absolutely a rubbish mum. And it was a conversation that we had that changed everything. And she said the line, which you've probably all heard if any of you are any of her coaches, or if any of you have any experience of the Inside Out or the Three Principles. She said the line, your thoughts come, oh God, I'm going to mess this up now because I can't even remember the line. What's the line, Amina? What is the line that you say to everyone? The one that, you know, everyone gets really cheesed off with you for saying all the time.
Feelings come from thoughts
in the moment. Thank you very much. She said that to me. Feelings come from thought in the moment. And I thought, meh, okay, yeah, all right. And she said, no, feelings come from thought in the moment. And then she went on to elaborate that. And I thought, yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, I think I know that. And she said, so if feelings come from thought in the moment, your feelings of achievement, your feelings of happiness are not going to come from a full calendar. They're not even going to come from a clean sink. I've just remembered the exact conversation. We were talking about droplets on a stainless steel sink. And I said to her that I cleaned them time and time again. She goes, why do you clean them throughout the day? Why don't you do it at the end of the day? Because you're going to use the sink again. You're going to get water drops in your sink. You're going to have washing up. I was like, oh no, but I can't. I have to get the sink completely clear of those watermarks. And she said, but that's just crazy, because when you wash up, it's going to happen again. So either, accept that there's going to be watermarks, or do it at the end of the day, And I said, but I don't feel calm. I don't feel happy. I don't feel at peace unless my sink has no watermarks on it. And then she said, your feelings don't come from a stainless sink. And I went, of course they do, because I know that I feel happy and I'm okay as long as my kitchen is clean. Do you know what? Happiness is a clean kitchen. So you are crazy, lady. And it was a conversation that led to another conversation about what she was doing, subhanallah, and she helped me. So she got me as a client without even trying to get me as a client. She was very much, no, don't come to me. I don't want you, but don't come to me for help. But I'm just saying, this is what's helped me and this is what I do now. And I was like, oh, okay, but can you help me? And she was like, no, I don't want to help. Not that I don't want to help you. It's not like she was poaching me for a client. If anything, she was doing the opposite. And it was me that was running after her. I was like, well no. She just said she did want me, but she didn't want to sell to me, and she didn't sell to me. And anyway, I chased her pretty much. And subhanallah, that began a year-long exploration journey into how we think, how we do this. And it not only transformed my parenting, it not only transformed my relationship with my children, it transformed my life. And from the outside, the world was exactly the same. My kids were still my kids. My husband was still my husband. But my world, from my perspective, was monumentally just, it was almost like I had been reborn with new eyes, that what was around has always been there, but the things that I could see, it's like if you cover one of your eyes, what you can see, you know, is going to it's going to be just a slightly different perspective. It's going to be a slightly different shift. But you know, if you cover the other eye, you're going to see something different. But the stuff out there is exactly the same. But your view of it, your outlook, your perspective, your, you know, your experience of it, it was almost like I'd gone from watching a black and white TV to a colour one. Like, you know, the film's exactly the same, but the way that I experienced it was just, it was wow, subhanAllah. And when I went on that journey with her, the last thing I ever thought it would actually bring, because I just thought, you know, it'll help me with my parenting, you know, help me feel like I'm not a rubbish mum, or, you know, I thought, okay, if I go on this journey with Amina, maybe I can fix my kids, because that's what will be, you know, that's what will make me happy, because it's my kids that are the problem. Obviously, you know, if they behaved better, I'd be a much better mum. Or if they just did what they were told, then that would make me feel better, and I wouldn't feel so bad about myself. So I, you know, when I first went on the journey, I thought, you know, I can use all of this and then I can fix my children. But obviously we know my children are fine. You know, they don't need fixing. They're absolutely fine themselves. You know, they're perfect, mashallah. You know, even in, you know, with their imperfections, they are, you know, perfectly them. They are doing them absolutely wonderfully. And so the journey took me on not only an appreciation for my kids, an appreciation for my husband, from my mum and dad. It took me on a journey of something that I didn't realize that I wasn't doing, and it was an appreciation of Allah. I mean, I knew that I was Muslim. I knew that He was there. I knew that, you know, if you pray, you kind of get your prayers answered. But I didn't know that in my bones. Almost, it was almost like that was new information to me. And the relationship that I had with Allah previous to that was kind of, like I say, it was on a kind of I was defrauding Him situation. But post going on the journey with Mina, it transformed that relationship. It transformed that relationship, that I was no longer a defective person. I was no longer a you know, conning Him. I was no longer this person that was failing everyone else's expectations. I was just a soul. I was just a soul, and Allah does not make mistakes. And He saw fit to put my soul into my body, and that's it. So I have just as much, I guess, right, for want of a better word, of being here as anyone else. But I know that I'm kind of like paraphrasing monumentally here, and there's so much that I've missed out, and I'm really concerned about the time. But towards the end of my journey, and I say towards the end of my journey, we're all still on a journey, but during the time that I spent with Amina, and then going on to think, if I can be transformed in this way, if I can, you know, if the relationship that I have with my children that I thought was pretty broken, was pretty rubbish, and, you know, going from feeling like the most awful mum, if that has transformed for me, all of the conversations I used to have at the school gates, you know, were with mums that were going through kind of similar things. You know, it was always, if, you know, my kids are doing this and it's doing my head in, and I'm, you know, feel as if I'm not doing it right. And I just thought, if I can see through this, if I can be impacted by this, subhanallah, maybe that's what I was meant to do. Maybe that was the amazing that I was supposed to do. Not, you know, excelling at university, or getting, you know, the most amazing job, or, you know, having a million more kids, or, you know, having one successful marriage, or the first successful marriage. Maybe the amazing that I was supposed to do was to share this understanding, was to share, you know, this experience and to help one person. So if I could help one mum feel less rubbish about herself, maybe that's what my purpose was. Or maybe that's why, you know, I was saved for what, you know, maybe that's what I was meant to do. So then I trained to become a coach with her. And subhanAllah, I was blessed with the other amazing coaches that are on this call. And I have never, ever, ever in my life met such beautiful souls. And subhanAllah, you know, the foundation that Sister Seeking Salam was born from, you know, they're pretty amazing. And I know that you know that already, but I just want to reiterate and you know, give props to the amazing coaches on here. SubhanAllah, they are truly, truly wonderful and amazing, and may Allah keep them safe and give them an abundance in this world and the next, inshallah, because they rock. And so I was able to go on that journey, that coaching journey with them. And then I set up as a parent coach, and then I found that my calling was to help young people. And so so now I coach mums, but I coach young people to help them really see who they are for who they are, in the hopes that they won't have to go through the having to call themselves Jenny, or having to call themselves Faz, or having to call themselves Farah, or having to change their names, or having to, you know, douse themselves in powder, or, you know, making themselves more appealing to, or not, sorry, more appealing, helping them, making themselves more acceptable to other people, that actually they are pretty awesome just by being themselves, just the way that Allah made them, and that they are, you know, souls of Allah. So that's what led me to working with young people and helping mums, which is pretty cool, and then delivering this understanding in schools. So the dream is to, inshallah, have the next ummah, the next generation of mentally healthy, you know, resilient, confident, creative, amazing children, through the help of, you know, helping their parents and helping out in the school. And it's a kind of 360 holistic way of trying to help our kids just navigate life in the most authentic way, which is, I guess, what we're all trying to do, really. And getting rid of, and I know Dr. Amina likes this word, getting rid of the comparisonitis. You know, trying so hard to be like everyone else and not accepting or not seeing the awesome in you. Because when you're looking at everyone else, you're looking outward and you can't see inward. You can't see what, you know, you can't see the amazing that's looking out. All you can see is what other people are doing and how it's not you, but it's not meant to be you, you know. And I know that now I'm waffling and I'm very aware of the time, and I'm not too sure how to bring this to an end, really, but that's my story, and hopefully I haven't sent anyone to sleep. But yes, that's me in a nutshell. Well, that's me in a nutshell thus far, because like I say, everyone's on a continuing journey, aren't they? And mashallah, I am, you know, now with Sisters Seeking Salam, that's another part of our journey. And when you understand who you are, when you understand how unique you are, how amazing you are, how wonderful you were created to be, that even my, you know, 15-year-old moustached, frizzy-haired self, you know, was actually pretty cool. I just couldn't see it. And alhamdulillah, Allah doesn't make mistakes. So, you know, we're all pretty amazing. And I guess I'm going to bring it to an end there. Does anyone have any questions? I don't know how we end these sessions, but yeah, do any of the other coaches want to say anything, or do they think I've missed anything out? Or as Mina's saying, do I still have a coach? I do indeed. Yeah, I think that that's pretty important, really. I think Mina will agree with me, or the other coaches would agree with me on this, that subhanallah, if I want to serve the people that I'm coaching, I guess I need to do as much as I can to keep myself on, you know, on a path of, you know, reflection and making sure that I'm being the best person that I can be. So that's why I need my coach to help me kind of keep in check, really. And so that I can give the best to the people that I serve. And someone said this so beautifully, a gentleman called Marnix Powles, and he says that his coaching or his journey was creating from the soul and delivering from the heart. And I thought that that was the most beautiful way and the most beautiful example of what all of the sisters, you know, in this group are doing, where, you know, we create everything from our soul. What we do is it's born out of love. What we do is born out of this wanting to please Allah and trying to do everything that we can with that end. So whatever that we are creating, whatever that we're trying to put out there, it is created from the soul, from that place of innate well-being, innate calm, innate resilience, innate love. And then we deliver it from the heart, because again, it is given out with love. And I don't think you can go far wrong really with that. But again, having a coach is really someone who keeps you in check and helps you not veer off really. One of the things that my coach, that I asked him, you know, I'm trained with Amina, and I'm certified coach from Mina's Coaching Academy. And subhanAllah, I'm really lucky that she's my friend as well, and I'm really lucky that we have this this group, because when we get together, you know, the lot of us, it's almost like a life coaching session. It comes out in really, really different ways. So we have each other to prop ourselves up, but we each all have our own separate coaches as well. And I think that that is very important, yes. Let me just double check if there's any other questions. Oh, let's have a little look-see. Oh, what's Jamila said? Your so-called waffling makes you... Oh, thank you. That's lovely of you. I can't see if there are any other questions. If you've asked a question in the chat box and I've not seen it or answered it, if you want to unmute yourself, please feel free. I'm very aware of the time, so I don't want to keep you. But if anyone has a burning question, please unmute yourself and please ask it. But if not, I'll ask the other coaches if they want to pop in. Has anyone unmuted themselves? No, okay. No worries, that's fine. No burning questions. So that's good. That's all right. How's your sink now, Farah? Depends on the day. Some days, I just want to tell you a very quick funny story about my sink. So after obsessing over the sink for absolutely years and it getting on my husband's nerves, you know, he was the one that was just like, it's just a sink. But now he's the one, I don't know if it's years of me obsessing over it, but he's the one now that tells me if I've not cleaned it. You know, he will clean it. He'll go to town on it. And if I go in and wash a dish and I don't clean it up, it's like, oh, missed a bit there. And I'm like, oh, hello, where'd that come from? So yeah, my sink on some days it is sparkling, other days no. KB says, do you want to be addressed by your name given by your parents? Oh, that's oh, I don't know. We had a conversation about this earlier with the sisters about married names and about how whoever has taken their husband's surname and kind of the thinking around that. I guess essentially maybe by still calling myself Farah Halaby, I'm still trying to distance myself from Faranaz or Faz, but you've sparked a question there, KB, so I'm going to have to give that a bit of thought. Dr. Amina says coaching helps you hear your soul. Yeah, absolutely. It helps you find your soul, actually, definitely. Absolutely. Again, if there aren't any other questions, or if there aren't any other, let's have a little look. Katie's kept her father's name. Yeah, I did put that to my husband. I did say to him, oh, do you know what? Actually, Islamically, it's supposed to keep your father's name, because I think that's actually, one second. Yasmin K has a question. Would you like to unmute yourself, Yasmin? Can you unmute yourself? Let's have a little look, see. Where are we?
Assalamu alaikum, sister. Yeah, I'll just unmute you. It's taking me ages to type the question.
Oh,
so my question to you is that what actually started, or what was the trigger for you to start thinking that you're not good enough? Where did that root from? Where did it come from? If you could answer that.
Yeah, I guess, in all honesty, I don't have the answer. I don't even know where that came from. Like I say, it was growing up, being the eldest one, and also not just the eldest one in my family. I was the Mauritian community that was just beginning in Brentwood, where I live. There was a very big, large Mauritian Muslim community, and I was the eldest girl within that community. So I was not only my parents' eldest daughter, it felt as if I was the community's eldest daughter. And so I don't know where I kind of got the memo that, oh goodness me, no, definitely I'm not good enough, or whether it was just this weight of everyone's looking at you to be amazing. Why are you not stepping into that? Why is it that you feel that you wouldn't? And so, in all honesty, Yasmin, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't ever remember being told that I wasn't good enough. I don't ever remember being, it being said or vocalized. If anything, I just remember the opposite, like, yeah, she's going to go on and do amazing things. She's the eldest one, we're pinning all our hopes on her. And, oh, isn't she, and not bigging myself up, because this is not meant to big myself up, but I remember going, having a conversation with a couple of the girls that I grew up with, and they said, do you know what, it used to really get on our nerves, because all our parents used to say is, why can't you be more like her? Why can't you be more like Farah? Like, oh God, I'm so sorry, because I never ever had that. I never meant it for that to happen. But yeah, it was never vocalized to me. So I don't know, in all honesty, where it came from. Whether it was just the weight of expectation, not too sure. Mary's saying, when are you writing an autobiography? Would you like some bedtime reading, Mary? Would you like something to send you to sleep, subhanAllah? Because, yeah, wow. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Amina just put that her mum said that too until she saw the phone bill. Yeah. If you hadn't already realised, yeah, I love to talk. And when Amina and I used to get together on the phone, I don't even remember what we spoke about. But I just remember us talking for hours. I honestly don't remember what we talked about, but it was enough at that time, before the advent of 3 minutes, before the advent of mobile phones even. Yeah, we just used to talk a lot. And it's funny, because I always wanted to be like Amina growing up. She was, the girl from London. She was uber cool. She still is. She still is uber cool. And, I suppose a bit of me still wants to be just like you, Mim. Even in my 40s, you are still my shiro. So, alhamdulillah. But yes, that's, I hope that's answered your question. I'm sorry, I don't have a more definitive one for you. And Rosina's saying, it's that pressure, maybe the high expectations that you start putting on yourself. Absolutely. Oh, Mina, yours, bless you, you're too kind and too lovely. Alhamdulillah. Any other questions? Or, like I say, I'm very aware that I've gone over. I've waffled way over, and I could continue waffling. I could continue talking about this, for a long time. But I'm very aware that you have given this time to me, and given this time to us. So, if it's all right with everyone, I'll bring it to a close, unless anyone has a burning desire to say anything. I mean, if anyone does, please do. But if not, I shall bring it to a close. 1 second. Oh, Mina said that she loves your story. Thank you very much, Amina. I don't know which Amina you are. I don't think you're Amina Hussein or Amina Begum, but thank you very much. Well, there's lots of Aminas on here. It's lovely. But yeah, Jazakallah khairan, everyone, for listening, and for being here, and for really making Sister Seeking Salam exactly what it is. It's this journey, this initiative, for want of a better word, has been one of the most unexpected, but one of the most beautiful gifts. And I've got to thank Dr. Amina and Amina Hussein for this, because this is just phenomenal. When she first said this, when she first articulated and said, we've got to do something, let's do something, come on, we've been so impacted by this understanding. We've got to, we're all getting it out there in our respective ways, like Dr. Amina's a marriage coach, and we've got the different niches, if you like, but we've all had our lives transformed by this, so we've got to get it out there. How are we going to do it? How are we going to reach a bigger platform? And through Sisters Seeking Salam, that was an idea that she had, and we all just jumped on it, because truth knows truth. And when you hear something and you think, wow, yes, absolutely, she didn't, none of us hesitated. We were just on it. And I pray that in this session that there has been a benefit to you in whatever it is I've said. And that's not going to come from me, obviously, because if anything, my story has shown, Allah kept on giving me the way. Allah kept on giving me the answer. Allah gave me answers to the questions that I wasn't even asking. And when that dua, you know, when that understanding that you can ask, and Allah may not give you what you've asked for, but He may just give you something better. And so when I was asking to just be happy with my not so happy marriage, He gave me a different way that I didn't expect. He gave me an out. And subhanAllah, He gave me a husband that was so totally different, complete opposite, who is, mashallah, may Allah keep my husband, you know, safe and well, and you know, may he continue to be the, you know, the leader of our family, mashallah, inshallah. But he gave me better than I'd even hoped of. And I remember a conversation again with Amina, and thinking it was in one of our sessions, and it was, I think it may have been on a retreat when we were in Reading, and we were talking about the du'as that, you know, the du'as that you make, and you know, you kind of, when you're asking for du'as, you're very focused in what you're asking for, but how often do we reflect on the du'as that we've made previously that have actually come true? And I remember being a 16-year-old girl sitting in her bedroom listening to some drippy love song and writing in my diary and looking out at the moon and thinking, oh, I just wish that I could meet someone who had green eyes and dark hair and had a kind of mysterious look about him, and I would marry him and I would have 4 children. And me being one of 4, I just thought, no, I'd like to kind of have 4. So that, I think I was a bit younger than 16. I might have been about 14 or so. And lo and behold, however many years later, I went on to marry a green-eyed, dark-haired, mysteriously looking gentleman, and we went on to have 4 children. And it was in one of those sessions in Reading at the retreat that I realised that I actually had my dua answered to the letter, and it had only just then dawned on me that that is what, you know, that was what had happened. And how often do we do that? How often do we reflect upon what Allah has actually given us? Because it just seemed as if Allah was giving me all these things, and I was like, oh no, not too sure it was meant for me. I think He's made a mistake here. I think, you know, that shouldn't have happened, or that's, you know, definitely not to me. And yeah, maybe it's a test, maybe I'm being set up for a fall, I don't know. But subhanallah, that dua exactly, you know, every single letter of that dua was made true, came true. So alhamdulillah. So ladies, does anyone, is Dr. Amina still in the room? Are we ending this with a dua as well, or how have we been ending the sessions? Amina, Hussein, are you still around?
Yeah, I am. Alhamdulillah.
How do we usually end these sessions? Lovely.
Right, so you answered good questions, mashallah. We're all still here. We don't want you to end, so we're not going to tell you how to end it. We just want to hear more.
You know, I feel like, you know, Scheherazade, the story of Scheherazade that's told the story for 1,000 nights. It's just like, okay, would you like to carry on talking, mashallah? You know what I'm like. I could carry on talking forever, but I'm very, very aware that it's now 5:45, and people have families, people have stuff that, you know, they need to be doing. So yeah, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, sis. You are so wonderfully brave, mashallah, to share your story, and really from the heart. And we all felt that, and we were crying with you, we were laughing with you, and it's just amazing, subhanallah, how that whole journey just kept bringing you back to Allah. And every time you turn back to Allah, He took you further on the journey, but sometimes we don't see it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like each time He was bringing you back to Him.
Can I just say something to you right there? Because I have to say thank you to you. And I know that it was from Allah, but I remember having a conversation with you, and I remember saying to you, I don't feel as if I can even ask for forgiveness, because I just felt as if my life was going to, you know, was rubbish, and that I was not, I think in answer to your
That was at our Hilton Hilton one-to-one session.
Sorry, what was that?
That was at the Hilton, remember?
It
Our one-to-one.
was, yes. Oh my goodness, I remember saying to you, I don't even feel as if I'm worthy enough to ask for forgiveness. I can't even bring myself to ask for forgiveness because I'm such a rubbish person. You know, why would Allah forgive me? So I'm not even going to be cheeky enough to ask for forgiveness. And I remember you just saying, but Allah is the only one that can. He loves to forgive. He wants you to ask him. He's waiting for you to ask him. He's waiting for you to turn to him. I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. I wouldn't be so, so bold. I wouldn't be so cheeky. I can't possibly. And yeah, I remember that. Oh my goodness. And you said he's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to just ask him. Just ask. And alhamdulillah, when I did, I remember sitting there and we were quiet. I think it's probably the longest that we've ever been in each other's company without saying anything, because I was just sat there with my eyes closed for ages, just getting really quiet, and we didn't say anything for a good 10 minutes. And I thought, oh, okay. And I remember feeling lighter. It was like I'd lost a couple of pounds in that session. It was, yes, I just wanted to say, alhamdulillah, thank you, and I love you, and jazakallah khairan for everything that you do, because you are awesome and you are amazing. So I just wanted to get that in there. But sorry, carry on.
Yes, jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you and accept your effort and your striving. You strive so hard, mashallah. You have so much to give. You give so much to your clients and the children around you. Alhamdulillah. You're my youngest daughter's teacher madrasa. You're my eldest daughter's mini boss.
She's my assistant, subhanallah. Yes, she is.
Yes. You're just a full part of our lives. Alhamdulillah, we love you very much. I love you very, very much. Alhamdulillah. And I'm so proud of you to see your journey. And I'm so sorry that it was so dark at times. But I'm so glad that through the darkness, Allah brought you to him. Alhamdulillah. In fact, it's the dua that we read when we end the sessions. I'm going to read it in English first. Glories to you, O Allah, and praise. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but you. I seek your forgiveness and turn to you in repentance. And I think that's really going to touch you.
That is just hit the nail on the head. And
that's your story, sis.
Forgiving
I'm going to say it again. Glories to you, O Allah, and praise. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but you. I seek your forgiveness and turn to you in repentance.
Oh, just hearing that it's almost like, it feels as if that has just been a dart that has just been shot straight into my soul. And that's what it really feels like. It feels like that, in essence, is my story, I guess. Just that, yeah. Exactly what you just said. Alhamdulillah.
I know. Just looking for, what was it that was going to fulfill you? What did you need to worship? And you looked here and you looked there and you looked everywhere until you found no one else but Allah.
Yeah. I was looking for my validation, for my worth in my kids, in my, in sometimes in my job. And yeah, absolutely. But it's not anywhere. It's not anywhere out there. It's only with Allah. And yeah, absolutely that. Alhamdulillah. So thank you so much. I've got a couple of messages here, but I'm for the ladies that have messaged that they want to join the group. I'm just thinking, how can we get them on the group? I can put the link.
Yes, we'll have to do it before we close the meeting.
Okay, let me just quickly find that now then. And also, let's have a little look.
And then everyone, sisters, look out for Farah's free gift that is coming. We will have free gifts, Eid gifts for you coming in the next few days, because she's an absolute awesome, mashallah, parent and child coach. I send my children to her. Alhamdulillah. And so if you're looking for someone that can help you and your children, please, once her free gift is out, grab her. Because she's a busy lady.
Oh my, yeah, busy. I can do busy like I waffle. It's just like, just goes on and on.
You're still not ironing vest and pants. Remember that
Oh
conversation?
my goodness! Right, okay. So this is. I'm just gonna quickly stop the recording, and then I'm going to tell you something just before. So Jazakallah khairan for that beautiful ending. I'm going to stop the recording.